Hello and welcome back to another week for This Week in Bitcoin. In today's video, we're going to be assessing everything that has been happening in the Bitcoin and crypto markets over the past 7 days. But as always, before we jump into the video, please smash the thumbs up button down below. Give us a subscribe if you haven't done so already. And be sure to hit the bell notifications icon so that you can stay up to date with all of the latest cryptocurrency and Bitcoin news. So without further ado, we're going to take a look at the market over the past week or so. Some moves in terms of market cap. First and foremost, we're at a $1.65 trillion market cap, which is slightly down from about 7 days ago. We were at 1.71 trillion. We're now down to 1.65 trillion. However, still slightly up on just over a month ago. So sitting at 1.59 on December 19th, we're still up as of today to 1.64 trillion. So still a slight increase month over month, which is good to see in terms of market growth and sentiment. In terms of the fear and greed index, we are sitting at about a 51 score in terms of fear and greed index, which is again slightly down from last week. I believe we were up closer to the 75, 76 mark due to the fact that we had a lot of hype around the Bitcoin ETF announcement, and all of the bullish sentiment around that seems to have died down a little bit over the past 7 days, but still interesting to see where we're at here. Next up, we've got the biggest winners and losers, I guess, in terms of the price movement over the past 7 days. Bitcoin up about 2.58%, ETH up about 2.3%, so pretty close there. A good healthy dose of green going on here in the performance map for the past 7 days, but also a decent amount of projects in the red as well. Biggest winners, I think we've got the likes of Link, Litecoin, Celestia, Rune here as some of the bigger winners, but some notable losers as well, with Matic, ICP, Cardano all down slightly. Nothing too crazy, but some of the bigger market cap currencies obviously slightly in the green, and then a few of them slightly in the red. So nothing too drastic here, but again, looking at the top 100 coins in terms of top winners, we've got Flare, Sia Coin, Aster, Chili's Blur, Celestia, Chainlink here, all above that kind of 7% gains over the past 7 days. So super interesting to see some of those winners and how much they are up over the past 7 days. I think a few of these top ones have made more of a run in the past 1 to 2 days, 24 to 48 hours, but interesting to see some of the coins that have been a little bit more consistent in terms of growth over the past 7 days. Next up, we've got the Bitcoin halving countdown. So yes, we are still only 92 days away from the estimated halving date. Estimated date being on April 21st of this year. Of course, this is a moving target in terms of the actual date when it'll happen, because it does happen at a block height of every 210,000 blocks. So this is an estimate and this is a moving target, but we are approaching the next halving within about 3 months from now, and a lot of interesting sentiment around the market for growth in the 12 to 18 months after the halving. If you haven't seen some of our other videos, be sure to check them out with regards to the halving specifically, but also for price targets in the 12 to 18 months after the next halving event. Bitcoin dominance is down slightly over the week. It's down just under 1%. So we were sitting at a dominance of about 51.8 last week, and now we're sitting at about 51.2 3, so less than 1% of a drop, but still above that 50% dominance mark. Next up, we've got the altcoin index, and this month has been a little bit more favorable towards altcoins than Bitcoin, but not overly bullish on one or the other. We've got the top 50 performers over the past month in total. So Ccoin, Sui, Arbitrum, some unsuspecting top performers like BSV up there as well, and then some of the other larger caps like ICP, BNB, Sol, Ethereum, Link, all solid performers in that kind of 7 to 20% gains over the past month kind of range. So very interesting to see that. Obviously, some other bigger losers like AVAX, Ruin, who've been making a run this week, but still over the month have been in about 20% losses. We've got VeChain, Cardano, Doge, Injective, HBAR. So definitely a good few of those other larger caps have seen, 10 to 20% losses over the past 30 days, but slightly more winners than losers here in terms of overall market growth. And then Bitcoin itself sitting at about a negative 3.9% return over the past month. Next up, we've got the stock to flow model, and obviously with the sentiment around the Bitcoin halving that we just mentioned, what we've got here is the halving date projected for end of April 2024 with this dotted line. The stock to flow has been mapping the price here against the actual stock to flow. So again, the reason the stock to flow keeps increasing is because of the fact that the block reward halving happens every 4 years, and the amount of Bitcoin entering circulation gets cut in half every 4 years, hence this dramatic increase in the stock to flow. And you can see that the price correlation has kind of mapped pretty closely to that over the past 3 cycles. And the colors in this map represent the how many days we are away from the next halving. So obviously, as we move into this darker blue and purple, we're getting closer and closer to the halving event, which will happen around here on April 21st. And then typically what we see in terms of market growth is that bull market really take off in the 12 to 18 months after the halving event, oftentimes driven by a lot of the supply shock created by the halving event. So very interesting to watch this over the next couple of months as we move towards the halving and as we move towards the bull market in those 12 to 18 months after. Next up, we've got the narratives performance over the past month or so. We've got basically outlining here the different narratives that are taking up more of the mind share in terms of the market. So we've got some of the real yields taking a lot of the mind share. We've got DeFi, we've got Oracle's NFTs that are taking up more of the market share in terms of sentiment and performance over the past month or so. Some of the other narratives in terms of Layer 1s, AI, GameFi have been taking up less of the mind share over the past month or so. But as we know, when the bull market runs around, particularly with altcoins, each narrative will have its day. And a lot of the price action for specific projects and tokens will be driven by the narratives surrounding it. So always good to stay abreast with some of the narratives that are gaining traction and which ones are losing traction. So always good to keep an eye on this. Ordinals had a lot of traction in Q3, Q4 last year, and obviously dropping off slightly now. So interesting just to keep on top of this. And finally, for the past week, obviously we've had the approval of the Bitcoin ETF, I think there has been 6 or 7 trading days of the ETFs over the past week or so since that got approved on January 10th. So what we're seeing here is the iShares Bitcoin Trust, which is the BlackRock ETF. And the BlackRock ETF alone, they have accumulated 28,622 Bitcoin in the past week alone, or in those 6 or 7 days of open trading. And I think the number for the amount of Bitcoin that has been accumulated in the past week for all 11 ETFs is around the 80,000 Bitcoin mark. So just under 3.5 billion US dollars in terms of how much Bitcoin has been purchased by the ETFs alone in the past 6 to 7 days of trading. So if they are to keep up that pace, especially with the supply shock that will come into effect with the next halving, there is simply not enough Bitcoin to go around. So it'll be super interesting to see how much Bitcoin these ETFs continue to accumulate day over day, week over week as we move forward. But I think the overall, I think what this averages out to is about 6,000 Bitcoin per day that are being accumulated. And obviously with the amount of Bitcoin that are coming into circulation, the demand is far outstripping the supply at the moment. So it'll be very interesting to see how that continues to evolve over time. So a lot of interesting sentiment going on around the market. I think in general, we saw a little bit of hype around the Bitcoin ETF this time last week and a small price drop in the days after it. I think, again, overall, it is an extremely bullish sentiment for having the ETF approval and the amount of Bitcoin that's been purchased in the first week alone. I don't think that's been reflected in the price in the short run, but long term, it is extremely bullish. So again, it'll be very interesting to see how all of that plays out. We're inching closer and closer towards the 2024 halving event. And I think that's when the real action begins for the preceding 12 to 18 months. So as always, if you enjoy these videos, please drop a thumbs up below. Hit the subscribe button if you have not done so already in order to stay up to date on all the latest crypto news and hit your crypto goals. We'll see you next week for This Week in Bitcoin. And as always, take it easy.